$247. That's what disappeared from Jake's account last month that he can't actually explain. Not stolen. Not some dramatic emergency. Just gone. Scattered across a dozen tiny decisions that felt completely reasonable at the time. Meanwhile, his coworker Lisa, same salary, same city, same cost of living, just hit $50,000 saved. Same paycheck hitting the same bank on the same day. One of them is building wealth without really trying. The other one is working just as hard and has nothing to show for it except a vague sense that money just disappears. So this is not a video about making more money. Jake and Lisa make the exact same amount. This is a video about the 7 invisible habits that are quietly keeping you broke, and the brutal part is that every single one of them feels responsible while you're doing it. My name is Nick, and I run Finovest Logic because I got tired of money advice that blames your coffee habit while ignoring the actual leaks. Today, we're walking through the 7 specific behaviors that create what I call the broke loop, where you work harder, make more, and still end up with nothing at the end of the month. And here's the core idea I need you to hold on to because it explains all 7 habits. Being broke isn't about what you earn. It's about the invisible distance between what comes in and what you can't account for. Most people track the big stuff. Rent, car payment, utilities. It's the other 30% that kills you. The part that just evaporates. And every habit on this list is a trapdoor in that 30%, swinging open every single week without you noticing. 2 promises before we start. 1. I'm going to show you Jake's actual breakdown, where his $247 went, line by line, and you're going to recognize yourself in at least 4 of them. 2. The most expensive habit on this entire list is also the one that feels the most like being responsible. It's number 6, and there's a very good chance you did it this week while congratulating yourself for being smart with money. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. It's what I've learned watching people, including past me, stay broke on good incomes. Let's get into it. You know exactly how much you pay in rent. You could tell me your car payment to the dollar. But right now, without looking, could you name every single subscription pulling money from your account this month? Not just the obvious ones. All of them. The streaming services, sure. But also the app you signed up for on a free trial 8 months ago. The meal kit you paused but never cancelled. The gym membership for the gym you haven't visited since February. The cloud storage. The premium version of something you forgot you upgraded. Here's what that actually costs. The average person has somewhere between 12 and 15 active subscriptions. They think they have maybe 5. That gap, the ones you forgot about, averages out to about $273 a year per forgotten subscription. 3 forgotten subscriptions is $820 a year disappearing into the void. That's not a rounding error. That's a fully funded Roth IRA contribution halfway gone. And here's the specific trap that makes this one so deadly. Subscriptions are designed to fade into the background. They're small enough monthly that your brain dismisses them. $9.99 doesn't trigger pain. But $9.99 times 12 is $120. Times 5 subscriptions is $600 a year. For things you're not using. Jake has Spotify Premium, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, a meditation app he opened twice, a language learning app he swore he'd use, YouTube Premium, and a software tool he needed once for a project 9 months ago. That's $102 a month, $1,224 a year, for content he mostly scrolls past while complaining there's nothing to watch. Lisa has Spotify and Netflix. She shares passwords for the rest. That's it. Same content consumption. $876 a year difference. Now I can already hear the objection. But Nick, I use those services. They bring me value. Fine. Then you should be able to name them right now without checking your bank statement. If you can't name it, you're not using it. You're just funding it. Here's the move. Once, just once, sit down and list every recurring charge hitting your account. Not what you think you have. What's actually pulling money? Then cancel everything you didn't remember existed. You'll feel it immediately, not as some distant future savings, but as real money that just stops leaving. Subscriptions are designed to be invisible. That's not an accident. That's the business model. And every month you let them stay invisible is a month you're paying the forgetfulness tax. That first habit is passive. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just not doing anything at all. This next one is active. You're doing it on purpose and calling it a win. Delivery fees. Service charges. Convenience upcharges. The $3 ATM fee because it's the one that's close. The $12 DoorDash order that costs $23 after fees, tip, and that small order fee. The airport bottle of water. The parking app convenience fee. The Instacart markup plus delivery plus tip. Every single one of these is a micro decision where you trade dollars for minor comfort. And individually, they're all defensible. You were hungry. You were in a hurry. You didn't want to walk 6 blocks to the other ATM. But here's what that defense costs when you add it up. DoorDash Uber Eats twice a week, the food is $25. After fees and tip, it's $37. The $12 premium times twice a week is $96 a month, $1,152 a year. To not get in your car. ATM fees, if you're pulling cash from out-of-network ATMs and eating a $3 fee twice a month, that's $72 a year. For the crime of accessing your own money. Bottled water at snacks at markups, airport, stadium, convenience store purchases that cost 3x what they would at a grocery store. Twice a week at $5 extra each time is another $520 a year. Total annual convenience tax for someone who isn't even being reckless, over $1,700. That's not living large. That's just not planning ahead. Jake spends about $140 a month on delivery fees alone. Not the food. The fees. He'll order a $10 burrito and pay $18 after the delivery app gets done with him. He does this because his time is valuable. Lisa meal preps on Sundays and keeps snacks in her car. When she wants takeout, she picks it up. Same food. $1,680 a year difference. And I know what you're thinking. So I'm supposed to never enjoy convenience? No. You're supposed to know what it costs and decide if this specific instance is worth it. Paying $6 in fees to have soup delivered because you've got the flu. Fine. That's worth it. Paying $6 in fees because you didn't feel like walking to your car on a Tuesday? That's the convenience tax, and you're paying it twice a week for no reason. Convenience is expensive. That's fine. Just know the price and stop pretending it's free. The first two habits are about money leaving quietly. This next one is about money you think is staying but is actually rotting. You got a raise. A real one. $8,000 more a year. You felt rich for exactly one paycheck. And then 6 months later, you looked at your account and realized you have the exact same amount saved as before the raise. Maybe less. Where did it go? It didn't go anywhere dramatic. It crept. You upgraded your apartment by $150 per month because you could finally afford the nicer place. You started eating out one more time a week. You subscribed to a couple more things. You bought the nicer version of stuff instead of the cheap one. You got your car detailed. You started saying yes to plans you used to skip because of cost. None of it felt reckless. All of it was just living at your income level. And that sentence is the whole trap. Lifestyle creep is when your spending rises perfectly in step with your income, leaving the gap between the two exactly the same. You make more, you save the same, and you wonder why you still feel broke. Here's the math. Jake made $52,000 3 years ago. He saved about $150 per month, roughly $1,800 per year. Now he makes $67,000. He still saves about $150 per month. His savings rate didn't move. His lifestyle absorbed the entire raise, invisibly, across 100 small upgrades that now feel mandatory. Lisa made the same jump, $52,000 to $67,000. When she got the raise, she kept living like she made $52,000 and banked the difference. The $15,000 raise after taxes is roughly $11,000. She saved an extra $900 per month. Her savings rate went from $150 per month to over $1,000 per month without cutting a single thing. She just didn't upgrade her life the second she got permission to. 3 years later, Jake has about $6,000 saved. Lisa has about $38,000. Same starting point. Same raises. The only difference is Lisa didn't let her spending chase her income. And here's the cruel irony. The nicer apartment, the extra dinners out, the small upgrades, Jake can't actually remember most of them. They just became the new normal. He's not happier. He's not more satisfied. He just spends more and has nothing to show for it except a vague sense that $67,000 doesn't feel like that much money. This is the habit that scales with you. The more you make, the more it costs. Because lifestyle creep has no ceiling. There's always a nicer thing, a better version, an upgrade that feels reasonable. And every single one of them pushes your freedom number further out of reach. The fix is stupidly simple and emotionally hard. When you get a raise, live like you didn't for 6 months. Bank the difference. Let it pile up. Actually see the number grow. Then, if you want, take half the raise and upgrade your life. The other half is your future buying itself out of this job. Jake didn't do that. And now he makes 30% more and feels exactly as broke as he did 3 years ago. Lifestyle creep is the slow leak. This next habit is the one where you lie to yourself and call it a deal. You saved $40. That's what the receipt says. You bought something that was $100, but it was on sale for $60, so you saved $40. Except you didn't save $40. You spent $60. Savings is when money stays in your account. This was just a discount on spending. And here's where it gets expensive. That $40 saved feeling is so good that your brain starts hunting for it. You buy things you didn't need, weren't planning to buy, and wouldn't have bought at full price. But they're 40% off, and that feels like free money. So you spend $60 to save $40, and your account is $60 lighter, but your brain is celebrating a win. This is the sale trap. The psychological trick where spending money feels like making money as long as the original price was higher. Jake bought a jacket last month. It was $120, marked down to $70. He tells people he got it for basically half off. He owns for jackets. He didn't need another jacket. But $50 saved felt too good to pass up. He spent $70 he wasn't planning to spend and called it a victory. Lisa saw the same jacket. Also didn't need it. Didn't buy it. Saved $70 by saving the actual $70. The annual cost of the sale trap is hard to track because it's spread across dozens of impulse buys that all felt justified at the time. But if you're buying one too good to pass up deal per month at an average of $40, that's $480 a year spent on things you didn't want until they were cheap. And here's the part that should end the whole justification. If you wouldn't buy it at full price, you don't actually want it. You want the deal. And buying things you don't want just because they're cheap is not saving money. It's wasting money efficiently. The cure is one sentence. You can't save money by spending it. No matter what the sale tag says. The first 4 habits are about bad spending. This next one is about good spending done wrong, and it's quietly costing you thousands. There are 2 sides to every interest rate. One side pays it. The other side earns it. And your entire financial trajectory is determined by which side you're on more often. Jake has $4,200 in credit card debt at 22% April. He pays the minimum every month, roughly $110. He thinks he's handling it. He's not. He's paying about $77 a month in pure interest. That's $924 a year going to the bank for the privilege of owing them money. Meanwhile, he's got $1,800 sitting in a checking account earning 0%. Nothing. It's just sitting there, doing nothing, while he pays $77 a month to service debt. Lisa had $3,800 in credit card debt 2 years ago. She took the $1,500 she had sitting in checking, paid down the debt, then attacked the rest with every extra dollar she had. She was debt-free in 11 months. Now that $110 a month Jake is sending to Visa? Lisa is sending it to her index fund. In 1 year, that's $1,320 invested. In 10 years, at 8% growth, that's over $19,000. Jake, in 10 years, will have paid roughly $9,240 in interest and still owe money if he only makes minimums. And before you say, but I need an emergency fund, I can't just drain my savings to pay off debt, let me show you the math. If your savings is earning 0.5% and your debt is costing you 22%, you are losing 21.5% a year on every dollar you hold in savings instead of putting toward debt. That's not safety. That's paying for the feeling of safety while going broke. Here's the move. Keep $1,000 in savings for true emergencies. Everything beyond that goes to the highest interest debt first. Once the debt is gone, then you rebuild the emergency fund properly. You can't outsave 22% interest. You have to kill it. Jake is on the wrong side of interest. And it's costing him roughly $1,000 a year in real dollars, plus the compounding he's missing on the money he'll eventually pay off the debt with. Interest is the most honest tax in personal finance. You either pay it or you earn it. And the distance between the two is the distance between broke and building. Paying interest when you could be earning it is expensive. But this next habit is the one that feels responsible and is actually the most expensive mistake on the whole list. Stop for a second. Take a breath. Because this is the one where people get defensive. And it's also the single most wealth-destroying normal financial decision regular people make over and over while thinking they're being smart. Buying a new car, especially on a loan, is one of the fastest ways to convert income into nothing. Here's what actually happens when you buy new. You walk into a dealership. The car costs $35,000. You put $3,000 down. You finance $32,000 at 6% for 6 years. Your payment is about $515 per month. The second you drive off the lot, the car is worth about $28,000. You just lost $7,000 in one afternoon. That's not a sale. That's not depreciation over time. That's immediate, instant value destruction. Over the 6 years, you'll pay about $37,000 total for a car that's worth maybe $18,000 at the end. You paid $37,000 to own something worth $18,000. The $19,000 difference evaporated into depreciation, interest, and the new car premium. Now here's what Lisa did. She bought a 3-year-old version of a similar car for $19,000. Paid cash from money she'd saved. No payment. No interest. The previous owner ate the depreciation. She got a reliable car for almost half the price. And here's the nuclear part. Jake's $515 per month car payment over 6 years is $37,080. If he'd bought a $19,000 used car in cash and invested that $515 per month instead, at 8% return, he'd have about $47,000 after 6 years. Plus he'd own a car. Jake's method, spend $37,000, own a car worth $18,000. Lisa's method, spend $19,000, own a car worth $12,000, have $47,000 invested. Net difference, $42,000 in 6 years. From one decision. And I already know the objection. But new cars are more reliable. I don't want to deal with repairs. Let me kill that right now. A 3-year-old car with 30,000 miles is not a risk. It's still under most warranties. It's past the worst depreciation. And even if you spend $1,000 a year on repairs, which is high, you're still tens of thousands of dollars ahead over the life of the loan. The new car is not about reliability. It's about the feeling. The smell. The idea that you've made it enough to afford one. And that feeling costs $42,000 over 6 years. This is the habit that feels like success and is actually the quiet killer of generational wealth. And it repeats every 6 to 8 years when people trade in and do it again. Jake will do this twice more before he's 50. Lisa will buy used, in cash, forever. By 50, that decision alone will have cost Jake over $120,000 in lost wealth. A new car is not an asset. It's a depreciating liability you're paying interest to own. And the monthly payment you think you can afford is the future you're trading in for the smell of leather. That one feels like wealth. This last one is what happens when you don't know where anything is actually going. Here's a question, and be honest with yourself because nobody's watching. Could you tell me, right now, within $100, how much you spent last month? Not on your big bills. On everything. If the answer is no, this is the habit that's enabling all the other 6. You can't fix what you can't see. And if you're not tracking your spending, you're flying blind every single month. You think you know where the money goes. You don't. You know where the big chunks go. The other 30 to 40% is just somewhere. Jake has no idea what he spends. He knows his rent, $1,400, his car, $515, his student loan, $220. The other $1,100 that hits his account after those big bills? It's just gone by the end of the month. Some to food. Some to gas. Some to stuff. He'd have to guess. Lisa tracks every dollar. Not obsessively. Just honestly. She uses an app. Takes 3 minutes a week. She knows she spends $320 per month on groceries, $85 on gas, $40 on household stuff, $60 eating out, $25 on subscriptions. She knows her numbers the way Jake knows his rent. And here's what tracking actually does. It doesn't make you cheap. It makes you intentional. When Jake sees $9 leave for coffee, he doesn't think about it. When Lisa sees it, she decides if it's worth it that day. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. But it's a decision, not an accident. The people who don't track their spending are the same people who get to the end of the month and say, "Where did it all go?" And the answer is everywhere, in $12 increments, none of which felt like enough to matter. Here's the actual cost of not tracking. You leak about 15 to 20% of your income to things you can't account for. For Jake, making $67,000 a year, that's roughly $840 to $1,120 a month. Over $10,000 a year that just disappears. If you tracked it, you'd see the patterns. The $40 per week on delivery fees. The $90 per month on subscriptions you forgot. The $70 sale to jacket. The $200 in ATM and convenience fees. It's all invisible until you look at it. And the second you look at it, half of it stops. You don't need a complicated system. You don't need a spreadsheet. You need to know where your money is going. That's it. One app. 3 minutes a week. And suddenly the leaks become visible. Not tracking is the habit that hides all the others. Remember Jake's $247 that just disappeared last month? Let me show you where it actually went, line by line. Subscriptions he forgot about, $38 delivery fees, for orders $42 convenience purchases, ATM fees, overpriced snacks, parking app fees $31 lifestyle creep, the $150 apartment upgrade he doesn't think about anymore $150, prorated weekly, interest on credit card debt, $77 that sale a purchase he didn't need, $0 this week, but $40 averaged monthly total he can't account for, $247. None of it felt big enough to matter. All of it added up to a week of his life he just handed away. Lisa's same month, $18 unaccounted for. Because she's not doing any of the 7. Here's what this comes down to. These 7 habits aren't dramatic. Nobody's buying Lamborghinis or gambling the rent. These are just normal things normal people do while believing they're being responsible. And that's what makes them so expensive. You're not broke because you're bad with money. You're broke because the money is leaving through 7 trapdoors you didn't know were open. The subscription bleed. The convenience tax. Lifestyle creep. The sale trap. Paying interest instead of earning it. The new car trap. And not tracking any of it. Close the leaks. Not all of them. Not forever. Just the ones you didn't know existed. And watch what happens when the money that used to disappear just stays. Jake's starting to track now. He cancelled 4 subscriptions yesterday. He's meal prepping this weekend. He's not fixed. But for the first time in years, he knows where the money is actually going. And that's the entire first step. You can't save your way out of invisible leaks. You have to see them first. Now you do. Thanks for watching Finovest Logic. If this landed, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.